And coming up today on the Starr Midday News, thousands set to be unemployed as Ghana risks losing $150 million in potential aid following imminent shutdown of international aid agency USAID. Also coming up in the bulletin, Bolgatanga Central MP Isaac Kadungo urges the youth in his constituency to stay calm amidst growing agitation and unrest over his lack of a ministerial appointment. Meanwhile, the Sisala Union is urging President John Dramani Mahama to reconsider the appointment of Deputy Agric Minister John Dumelo as he expressed frustration over being sidelined.
The MPs alone cannot do much. But if they are at the executive level or you have somebody, one or two people from this area, they will also lobby and bring the work. Look, Agric is the mainstay of the area.
Also coming up in the bulletin, banking consultant Dr. Richard Etuahine dismisses concerns by minority over the continuation of criminal charges against acting governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Isiama.
It's taking you 7 years to prosecute a case. And don't forget there is a Limitation Act. How long would you resolve that case? At least they should just take circumspect and ask themselves, if we did the right thing, we would have the same thing being asked today.
Also, the Ghana Health Service has launched a 3-year awareness and action campaign against liver and prostate cancer, which is killing men at an alarming rate in the Ashanti region. We've got details of all of these stories and more coming up for you on the Starr Midday News. Do stay tuned. Great stuff.
Starr News is coming to you live on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi, Empire 102.7 FM in Takrady, Zeps 95.9 FM in Zebila, Nissim 100.1 FM in Lamshao, My Star Radio in the USA, also live on Facebook on Starr 103.5 FM and on starfm.com.gh around the world. This is Starr 103.5 FM. Starr News. Informed, in depth, in touch.
Thank you for joining us here on the Starr Midday News. Now to our first story. Ghana is at risk of losing up to $150 million in developmental aid to tackle critical issues in areas such as health and governance. This follows a decision by President of the United States, Donald Trump, to cut down funding for the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID. The International Aid Agency, which has an annual budget of over $40 billion, provides key support for middle and lower income countries while financing key research in global health and thousands of non-governmental organizations. Staff numbering thousands have already been put on alert to proceed on leave beginning tomorrow, which the agency is asking staff in foreign countries to return home in 30 days. But what does this mean for the international community and its threats to our coexistence? Joining us on the phone for a conversation on this now is international relations expert Dr. Ishmael Hlovo. Doc, good afternoon. Welcome to the Starr Midday News.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to your listeners.
Thank you very much for joining us. How dire could this shutdown be for Ghana and even the global community?
Yeah, it could be dire because if you look at the amount that U.S. aid gives to countries like Ghana in terms of providing social and economic relief to the very poor, it is very important. So if you take into context that this funding does not only go to government but goes also to NGOs and others who are into humanitarian operations, then you are dealing with a very huge situation here. Not necessarily within Ghana, but across the globe, particularly countries that are in conflict, because those are the areas that the agency seems to operate more.
So looking at the potential consequences, considering the fact that we have aid coming in to help us with some of our medicines and other things. And there's been a freeze for the next 90 days. It's in limbo. We don't know how all of this is going to play out. What are the options available to us with regard to even trying to salvage the situation through some diplomacy or something of the sort?
Yeah, currently the diplomatic options are quite limited because this seems to be a blanket ban. It's not only affecting Ghana, except for few projects that they have exempted. So the options you have are quite narrow, particularly given the fact that you have a new government that is trying to put its house in order, and given the fact that you yourself, you don't have a full year budget, you are running on a temporary budget. But then you can also try to shift resources from other areas that are not so critical at the moment to try to salvage some areas such as health that are crucial to well-being. That is what government can do. But for NGOs and non-governmental organizations that are dependent on government, on USAID support to provide supporting services to health service and others, that it becomes very, very dying for them, because the ability to generate resources from somewhere to continue those services may not be there. And that also finally will come back to government to find a way to make sure that those support services are also provided. So currently what Ghana have to do is to try as much as possible to see if they can shift resources from other areas and try to privilege those areas that are critical to human well-being, such as health and so forth and so on. But we can also engage them diplomatically because they are taking a full review of the operations of of the agency, and that means that ultimately, at the end of the 90 days, some of their operations may be curtailed, some may not be resumed. So we have to present our case, given what they do in Ghana, and see to it that even after the 90 days, some of those crucial ones are resumed, and then we can continue on like that. But it is also important we understand that there are areas that are too crucial for a nation to leave to donor agencies, areas like health, education. These are not areas that should be left for donor agencies. So if you leave these areas for agencies like this to be the driving force, then when these things happen, you are pushed back, and then it affects you negatively. So yes, we can't engage diplomatically. We must also look at engaging other partners like the EU to scale up if they can fill the void. If there are resources they can give us in the short term. The Chinese and then the emerging powers will present as options, but these options all have their own consequences, and so we can engage diplomatically to try to remedy it. But more importantly, we should find some resources down here to try and salvage the situation as we look forward to what happens after 90 days.
Very well, Doctor. Thank you very much for speaking to us here on the Starr Midday News.
You're welcome.
You just heard us speak to Dr. Ishmael Hulovo, who is an international relations expert. Now, as the president nears the completion of his ministerial appointments, many active members of parliament are still waiting to hear about their nominations, with growing unrest among constituents and supporters. Bolgatanga Central MP Honorable Isaac Adungo is urging the youth in his constituency to remain calm and trust the president's judgments during this period of uncertainty. In a social media post, the MP said he trusted the judgments of the president. He also emphasized that he has confidence in his colleagues who have been appointed. Here are excerpts of his post.
I know everyone is disappointed, but I urge you all to remain calm and trust in His Excellency's judgment. We have a country to run for 4 years, and he needs our support to succeed. My only job you gave is an MP and not a minister, and I will do my best to give off my best. It is well. Our time will come. I have absolute confidence in the ability of my colleagues to assist His Excellency to his vision. Don't disturb the peace of my beloved Bolga Central in my name. I didn't work to get JM to return to power just for you to embarrass him.
So that's a social media post by Isaac Adungo. Well, a group calling itself the Sisala Union have expressed disappointments that President John Dramani Mahama has not appointed anyone from the Sisala area into a ministerial portfolio. They argue that there are young and qualified personnel that have been overlooked for ministerial or deputy ministerial appointments, especially in the field of agriculture and other areas. Now, let's listen to Mahmoud Baka Aduna, who is the president of the Sisala Union.
It's a big deal because we have developmental challenges, just like every part of Ghana. And our challenges are very, very peculiar. That is why if we have a representative in the government, especially at the executive level, it will help solve some of these developmental challenges.
How will that help solve the developmental challenge?
If you know the geography of the Upper West region very well, if you get to the Upper West region and you go through our road network, it's so bad. And let me tell you that there are 5 constituencies of the Sisala area. Y East is 1, Sisala East is 1, Sisala West is 1, Lambusie is 1, TBS is 1. These are all areas that have developmental challenges. And for me, if we have MPs, and we know that the MPs alone cannot do much, they may probably lobby, but if they are at the executive level or you have somebody, 1 or 2 people from these areas, they will also lobby and bring look, agric is the mainstay of the area. But if I tell you what we go through, you will not believe it, my brother. And that is the reason why we are asking that just pick 1 or 2 young, brilliant guys to also advocate our cause for us. That's all.
So you've just listened to Mahmoud Baka Aduna, who is the president of the Sisala Union. Well, some constituents are agitated over their MPs' lack of ministerial appointments. The General Agricultural and Workers Union say that they are ready to work with the Deputy Minister Designate for Food and Agriculture, John Seto Dumelo. Let's representative from Gao, Dr. Pascal Ajongba Kaba, has joined me on the phone to provide more details on their stance. Thank you very much, Doc, for joining us here on the Starr Midday News. What is your reaction and the stance of Gao to the new nominee for Deputy Agric Minister?
So thank you very much, and thank you to your listeners. On the part of the union, we will question the rationale behind the president deciding to nominate anybody for any position. What is of common interest to us is that whoever the president decides to nominate into whatever position within our value chain, which is our agriculture value chain, fellows should contribute to the growth of that sector. And so if John Dumelo is coming on board within that sector and is willing and prepared to contribute to the growth of that sector, we welcome the news. For instance, currently our contribution to the service and industry sector have overpowered us in terms of our contribution to GDP. So if he's somebody who is coming to help the sector minister to get us back into the position where we used to be the highest contributor to GDP, then that is good news for us. Also, when you look at even in terms of cocoa production, currently we are producing between 430,000 metric tons to 530 metric tons. The Minister of Cocoa Board is under the Minister of Agriculture. And so if this is somebody who is coming to ensure the issues of smuggling are tackled, and then the production of cocoa is increased to we get some back to our glorious deals of 1 million metric tons, then we're good. And then when we look at the agriculture sector as well, currently farm agriculture a lot of people graduate from the colleges of education and they are unemployed. They are sitting home. Our farmers need people to help them in their work because of the new technology that come in from. So the policy of this current government, which is feed the nation, feed the industries, if looking at though most of us know Dumelo to be in the accent field, in the last 5 years, we hear of him in the agriculture sector. where he has even advocated that Africa should or agriculture. And we as a union also stand within that sector. Within that statement, that agriculture is where we have a comparative advantage. And so as a country, we should focus more on agriculture because that is where we have a we should do well at this. Okay. And then we have for the good. And so over the past period, this is somebody I have advocated for, and even he has demonstrated it by doing it himself, where he, according to him, employs 400 staff within his farm. And so if he's bringing the expertise he had in particular in agriculture to the ministry, and this is somebody who has also lived agriculture in a way, he's bringing it to the ministry, then we only expect that when he gets there, he should continue to demonstrate, and the challenges he used to face as a farmer, he should see how he tackles those challenges when he sits on the seat.
Very well, Doc, we're grateful. Thank you very much for speaking to us here on the Star Midday News. You just heard us speak to Dr. Pascal Ajongba Kaba, who is a representative from the General Agricultural Workers Union. Now, the banking consultant, Dr. Richard Otuahene, has dismissed concerns by the minority over the discontinuation of criminal charges against Dr. Johnson Asiamah prior to his appointment to head the Bank of Ghana. The minority, during an address yesterday, criticized President John Dramani Mahama for allowing the discontinuation of criminal charges against the acting governor of the central bank. The minority, led by Member of Parliament for Tano North, Dr. Gideon Buaku, insisted that the prosecution should be allowed to proceed despite Dr. Asiamah's appointment. They urged that it is essential to establish his legal standing before allowing him to take charge of the country's central bank.
It is a considered opinion that Dr. Johnson Asiamah be made to go through the full hog of the adjudication of the cases he was standing trial for. It is in the interest of both the states, government, and Dr. Asiamah himself to establish whether or not he is guilty of the crimes he has been charged with. For a government that is built from a party with purpose to be lovers of probity and accountability, we firmly believe that President Mahama should allow the charges against Dr. Asiamah to stand. This silly attempt to discontinue the proceedings of the criminal charges against Dr. Asiamah is the more reason why we think he, Dr. Asiamah, a potential criminal convict, should not be heading an important and sensitive office as the governor of the central bank.
So you've just listened there to Dr. Gideon Buaku, who led that presser by the minority. But Dr. Richmond Otuahene, speaking on the Morning Star, stated that proceedings would not have dragged this long if the prosecution had actual evidence against Dr. Asiamah.
All those noise have been coming in, and now people are saying petition and IMF, they will go to so and so. What I'm saying is that it's taking you 7 years to prosecute a case. And don't forget there is a Limitation Act, NRCD 525, which puts statute bar on certain cases and certain periods. I won't say this is a statute bar, but the question is that how long would you resolve that case? If your Attorney General could not pursue it to the line, I'm wondering why they wouldn't direct their problems to the Attorney General. But they are now blaming the previous attorney, but they are now blaming somebody and saying we are going to report to the IMF. Let me tell you, IMF is not in this country to arbitrate on these issues. They are only here because we have also taken their money. And when they come and you report to him, it's just like you haven't done anything. Because it is not part of the mandate. The mandate is the constitutional issue. If you cannot challenge the constitution and you want to say that we'll go to IMF, it is one way you're just trying to exit you're telling us that you can't do anything. Because IMF coming next week, they are not going to look at this. And the man is sitting down today. He is not appointed governor. He's a nominated governor. And because there is going to be a meeting next week, he has to bear and receive information and data so that by the time the Council of State confirms him, he would have a total understanding of what has been going on in the financial sector. So I find those of you who are making cases and making noise that At least they should deserve circumspect and ask themselves, if we did the right thing, would we have the same thing being asked today? Apart from that, I don't see anything in it that can stop Dr. Isiama in his position.
Dr. Richmond Tuahine is a banking consultant. This is the Starr Midday News here on Starr 103.5 FM. We are live across the country on our affiliate stations.
Starr News is coming to you live on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi, Empire 102.7 FM in Takrady, Zeps 95.9 FM in Zebila, Nissim 100.1 FM in Lamshao, My Star Radio in the USA. Also live on Facebook on Starr 103.5 FM and on starfm.com.gh around the world. This is Starr 103.5 FM. Starr News. Informed, in depth, in touch.
The Starr Midday News here on Starr 103.5 FM. Nana Ama Aqua has just joined me in the studio, and there are some social media comments that have been moving all over the place, if I can describe it as such, with regard to issues of appointments and what have you. Nanama, what's on social media?
Well, as we are aware, yesterday we had the list of deputies that was presented from the presidency. And when we move over to X, formerly Twitter, we have, I speak for all Ghanaians when I say we don't need deputy ministers. It's a waste of taxpayers' money. There are enough committees and executives at the ministries already, and that was from X. When we move over to Facebook, Elizabeth Adobia says, congratulations, Thomas Ampemnyako. Asojaman is proud of you. Ben Kofi says, I was expecting Honorable Adongo as Deputy Minister of Finance. So, Percy says, congratulations to John DeMello. We have Isaac who says, congratulations also to John DeMello. Helena also congratulates Thomas Ampemnyako. Then Rob Smith says there's no diversity there then. And that's what we have for you on social media. My name is Nanama Aqua. Lantam, back over to you.
Thank you very much. Nanama Aqua there with your social media comments. Follow at Starr 103.5 FM on Facebook, on Instagram, and on X. Now, the Minister-designate for Communications, Digital Technology and Innovation, Samuel Nete George, has hinted of legislation to tackle the growing menace of misinformation as the canker has started creeping into Parliament. Fake news and misinformation have become a pervasive threat to truth and trust in society, with the potential to cause harm to individuals, communities, and institutions. But while efforts are being made to combat this menace, a worrying trend appears to emerge in Ghana's parliament, where lawmakers are increasingly falling victim to false information and manipulated narratives. Tuesday's parliamentary session was a stark reminder of this trend, and there's more in the following report.
During the approval of President John Dramani Mahama's nominees in Parliament, a dramatic turn of events unfolded. The day started with the lifting of the suspension of minority members, but things took a darker turn when an MP referred to his colleague as a daughter of a murderer.
Daughter of murderer! Daughter of murderer! Sit down! Daughter of murderer! Sit down! It's me.
Just as it seemed the drama was subsiding, another controversy emerged. Former Lands Minister Samuel Abujinapo accused newly approved Communications Minister Sam George of watching an explicit content during parliamentary proceedings.
Once at it, the Honorable Sam George, as an elder of the Perez Chapel, not a member, as an elder of the Perez Chapel, and as somebody who espouses his Christian values, should also be mindful of what he watches when he's in Parliament. He should be mindful of that as well, especially when serious business is being conducted in the House.
He was forced to withdraw his statement after it was drawn to his attention that a said image was doctored.
It's not verified. This is a statement coming from the majority leader, that it is not verified. So, Speaker, to that extent, I unreservedly withdraw and apologize to my brother Sam George. No difficulty with that.
This rather disturbing incident raised alarming concerns, marking the second time in just a week that fake news has compromised the integrity of Parliament. Last week, Social activist Oliver Bakavomawo was hauled before the appointment committee on the back of some allegations he made against chairman of the committee and other members in relation to bribery of the committee.
We'll bring you the full report on Starr today on Starr 103.5 FM at 5 p.m. It's time now for sports. Jones Aji's in the studio with the details. Jones, what's in sports?
Right, so let's start off from the Ghana Police Service, because they've arrested 3 more suspects: Isaac Ofosu-Yeboah Augustine, Elizabeth Akos, and then Yeboah Augustine, in connection to the murder of Kotoko fan Francis Frimpong. This brings the total number of arrests to 6, and we understand that the new suspects are in police custody and are yet to be arraigned before the courts. Now let's move to Black Wings, because the Ghana's Black Wings will face Morocco in an international friendly on February 21st at the Pre Jego Stadium in Casablanca as part of their preparations for the 2024 Women's African Cup of Nations. The match marks the debut of new head coach Kim Lass, who replaced Nora Haptel in January. This is one of 2 warm-up games scheduled during the February international window. And Kim Lass' key task is to lead Ghana to a strong WAFCON campaign, with the tournament set to begin on July 5th in Morocco. The Black Wings are in Group C alongside South Africa, Mali, and then Tanzania. Let's end up with some basketball news, where LeBron James has expressed excitement about teaming up with new teammate Luka Doncic in the LA Lakers, calling it special. Doncic, a 5-time NBA All-Star and 2024's top scorer, was traded from the Dallas Mavericks in a surprise move, with Anthony Davis moving the other way. Now let's get to listen to LeBron James.
It's going to be special, I think so. We're going to attract a lot of eyes. Obviously, our ability to score, rebound, pass, it's going to make it a lot easier on our teammates. And that's all we want to do. We want to be able to create opportunities for our teammates where they only have to catch, finish, catch, dunk, catch, shoot. And it's our job to lead them every single night. Listen, Luka's a big-time player, 25 years old, haven't even reached his prime yet, and he's done some amazing shit in our league already.
All right, that should do it for sports this afternoon. My name is Jones Aji. We have the game coming up at 1 p.m.
Thank you very much, Jones Aji, with the latest in sports. Now, the Minority Chief Whip, Frank Anodompreh, has called on supporters of the NPP in the Ablekuma North constituency to resist intimidation by the NDC, remain resolute, awaiting the declaration of the Ablekuma North results. Speaking during a solidarity visit to the parliamentary candidates in the constituency, Nane Kyo Uswe Frank Anodompreh, together with the leadership of the minority in parliament, called on the Inspector General of Police to do the needful by providing security for the declaration.
Edi party for mpeni amponsa buzia obeche bilamte mpeni for ene omko omkrechi ombeko okodi ma party edi pamcho enye sa mmiri we ni eba beka se primary islamic supporting way so we MPP ni mapa now ko to say MPP for and now say MPP ni any NDC ni ekwa.
That's Frank Anodompreh there. Now, before we go, the Ghana Health Service has launched a 3-year campaign against cancers, leading several men in Ghana to their early graves. 2 cancers, prostate and liver cancers, top this chart with up to 90% mortality rates. The campaign, which has become urgent, will comprise advocacy and public education, as well as development of personnel and equipment for early detection and treatment. Ultimate News' Ivan Heathcote Fumado has more in the following report.
From 8,764 cancer cases recorded in the Ashanti region in the year 2022, the region's new cancer cases soared, reaching more than 16,000 in the year 2024. Men have been flagged to bear the biggest risk, with health facilities recording more than 3,200 cases of prostate cancer between 2022 and 2024. It represents more than twice the 1,087 new breast cancer cases and more than thrice the 973 cervical cancer cases recorded in the Ashanti region within the same period. Men have also come under the heightened surveillance, as liver cancers have been identified to kill as many as 9 out of every 10 men diagnosed with the condition. A statistic the Ashanti Region Director of Health, Dr. Fred Adomako Boateng, describes as alarming.
When it comes to prostate cancer in the region, in 2022, we recorded 1,066 cases. In 2023, we recorded 1,208 cases. And in 2024, we recorded 996 cases. The Ghana Health Service, in line with the World Cancer Day organization team, United by Unique, is joining the global movement calling for greater emphasis to address prostate and liver cancers in men in Ghana, in Ashanti region. Although these cancers are among the leading causes of death in the country, they are unfortunately not highlighted enough for various reasons.
As part of the commemoration of World Cancer Day, the Health Service is demanding a person-centered approach that holistically addresses the needs of each cancer patient beyond merely seeing them as statistic. The 3-year campaign will entail wide public sensitization, voluntary testing, early diagnosis, and treatment.
Every diagnosis lies a unique human story. Stories of grief, pain, healing, resilience, love, and more. This is why a people-centered approach to cancer care that fully integrates each individual's unique needs with compassion and empathy.
And that's Ivan Heathcote Fumado's report there, bringing an end to the Star Midday News here on Star 103.5 FM. For more news, log on to starfm.com.gh and take a look at our social media handles at Star 1035 FM on Facebook, Instagram, and on X. My name is Lantam Papanko. Have a good day.